Who dares to venture into the woods alone at night? The darkness whispers secrets, and the shadows hide terrors beyond imagination. But what happens when you stumble upon something or someone you were never meant to see? Tonight we delve into 6 of the most spine-chilling encounters ever recorded. These stories will make you question every rustle of leaves and every flicker of light in the distance. Are you ready to face the unknown? The woods are a place of beauty, mystery, and sometimes unspeakable horror. What begins as a peaceful adventure can quickly turn into a nightmare when the line between reality and the supernatural blurs. Tonight, we're diving into a series of unsettling encounters that will leave you questioning what lurks in the shadows. Our first story comes from Facile, an avid adventurer whose love for the great outdoors took a terrifying turn one fateful night. Encounter 1. The ghostly figure Facile, a 78-year-old adventurer with an unshakable passion for the wilderness, runs the YouTube channel Voyager Overland. Known for showcasing the breathtaking beauty of remote landscapes, Facile's videos are a love letter to nature. But on one unforgettable trip, he captured something that defied explanation, something that still haunts him to this day. So Jean and I were out on another adventure, Facile begins, his voice trembling slightly. Last time I caught some footage that, well, it's left me a little shaken. I haven't decided if I want to show it yet. He pauses, as if reliving the moment. It's not the first time I've caught something unexpected in the background. A deer, some hikers, things like that. But this was different. I don't understand what I saw, and I can't explain it. If any of you have seen anything like it, please, let me know. On October 26, 2024, Facile, his wife John, and their 2 grandchildren set out for Ruby Falls, a stunning destination nestled in the Alberta Rockies. After a day of exploration, they pitched their tents and settled in for the night. Before turning in, Facile decided to set up a trail camera, hoping to capture some nocturnal wildlife for his granddaughter, who adored animals. I've set up this camera many times before, Facile admits, but I've never caught anything. Tonight, though, tonight was different. As the family slept, the camera rolled, capturing the eerie stillness of the forest. But then, something emerged from the shadows, a ghostly figure with glowing eyes that seemed to pierce through the darkness. The figure wandered aimlessly around the campsite, its movements unnatural and unsettling. The most chilling moment came when it noticed the camera. It stopped, turned, and slowly approached, its face coming into full view, a face that was anything but human. The next morning, Facile reviewed the footage and was left speechless. The figure defied all logic, and the footage sent a shiver down his spine. He chose not to show the video to his grandchildren, fearing it would be too terrifying for them. When he eventually shared the clip on his YouTube channel, it went viral overnight. Viewers were captivated and horrified, sparking endless debates and theories. Was it a ghost, a trick of the light, or something far more sinister? But what if the figure wasn't a ghost at all? What if it was something, or someone, with malicious intentions? That's the question that lingers as we move to our next encounter, captured by Dan, a YouTuber known for his daring explorations of abandoned places and haunted forests. Dan, the host of Exploring with Fighters, is no stranger to the paranormal. He spent years searching for answers, hoping to capture something extraordinary on camera. But on this particular night, he got more than he bargained for, something far more terrifying than any ghost. It was November 14th, 2022, a cold and eerie winter evening when Dan and his friend Flex ventured into the infamous Eeping forest, a place shrouded in dark legends and ghostly tales. The duo, seasoned explorers, had faced many adventures together, but this night would test their courage like never before. As they arrived, the forest loomed before them, its shadows stretching like skeletal fingers. The only structure in sight was an old, decrepit church, its graveyard eerily silent under the pale glow of a full moon. The air was thick with unease, but they pressed on, determined to set up camp deep within the woods. After finding a secluded spot, they pitched their tent and lit a campfire, the crackling flames offering a fleeting sense of comfort. But as the night deepened, strange noises began to echo through the trees. Hollow thumps, distant screams, and the unmistakable sound of footsteps circling their campsite. The duo tried to rationalize the sounds, blaming foxes or owls, but their unease grew. Suddenly, something slammed against the tent, followed by the unmistakable crunch of footsteps just outside. Frozen in fear, Dan and Flex sat in silence, their hearts pounding as the intruder lingered, circling the tent as if taunting them. When they finally mustered the courage to peek outside, the forest was eerily still, revealing nothing but darkness. The next morning, they reviewed the CCTV footage from their campsite, hoping for answers. What they saw sent chills down their spines. A shadowy figure had been standing silently beside their tent, watching them. The moment they opened the tent door, the figure vanished into the woods. Dan and Flex were left shaken, realizing they had narrowly escaped an encounter with someone or something far more sinister than they had imagined. The footage revealed a chilling truth. A man had been lurking in the shadows, observing Dan and Flex throughout the night. He stood motionless beside their tent, his presence hidden by the darkness. Only when the duo opened the tent did he retreat, disappearing into the forest like a ghost. The realization that they had been watched and potentially hunted left them haunted. They had brushed off the noises as wildlife, but the footage told a far more terrifying story. Dan and Flex vowed to be more cautious in the future, but the encounter left an indelible mark. The Eeping forest, with its dark legends and eerie silence, had proven to be more dangerous than they had ever imagined. As they packed up and left, they couldn't shake the feeling that the forest and the figure were still watching, waiting for their return. Known for his love of the great outdoors, Charles was no stranger to adventure. He often ventured into the heart of nature, exploring some of the most breathtaking forests and sharing his experiences with his loyal audience. But on this particular day, what he captured on camera would haunt him forever. A chilling encounter he never could have anticipated. It was July 18th, 2021, a warm, sunlit day in the Blue Ridge Mountains. Charles had spent his summer immersed in the tranquility of nature, waking up each morning to the symphony of birdsong and the gentle rustle of leaves. In one of his vlogs, he proudly showcased his temporary home. "Welcome to the crib. This is a 10 by 10 wall tent that I'm living in for the summer. Let me show you around." I'm on a 100-acre property outside of Asheville, surrounded by the beauty of the Blue Ridge Mountains. This tent has two of everything: 2 windows, 2 doors, 2 outlets. The property has a farm, several houses, tons of dogs, animals, even a pond. I'm renting this spot, and it borders the national forest. Every day I'm surrounded by mushrooms, plants, and the serenity of nature. I go foraging, build campfires, and just soak it all in. It sounded like the perfect escape, a peaceful oasis far from the chaos of everyday life. But little did Charles know, this idyllic retreat was about to transform into a waking nightmare. Later that day, Charles set out on one of his favorite activities: mushroom hunting. The forest was calm, the air filled with the earthy scent of damp soil and the occasional chirping of birds. As he wandered deeper into the woods, his camera captured the serene beauty around him. But then, without warning, the tranquility was shattered. This one looks like it has a bite out of it. And this one, there's one over here holding some water. Interesting. Suddenly, a blood-curdling scream pierced the air, a sound so horrifying it seemed to freeze time. The scream was close, too close, as if someone nearby was enduring unimaginable agony. Charles froze, his camera trembling in his hand. "I think it's time to go," he whispered, his voice barely audible. Without hesitation, he turned and began to walk away, his pace quickening with every step. His mind raced. What was that? This is private property. Who or what could be out here? But before he could process the terror, another sound echoed through the trees. Gunshots, loud, clear, and unmistakable. Charles instinctively grabbed his phone, recording the chilling audio. The gunshots were too close for comfort, and his instincts screamed at him to flee. He hurried back to his campsite, his heart pounding, his mind swirling with questions. Once back, Charles immediately reported the incident to the property owner, recounting the scream and the gunshots. The owner was stunned, offering no explanation. To this day, the events remain a mystery. No reports, no answers, no closure. So what really happened in the Blue Ridge Mountains that day? Were the scream and gunshots connected? Was someone in danger? Or was something far more sinister lurking in the shadows? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. This chilling tale is a stark reminder that danger can strike when you least expect it. And if you think Charles's story is unsettling, just wait until you hear what happened to Dan, a beloved YouTuber whose encounter with the unknown will leave you questioning everything. Stay tuned for the next video. It was November 18th, 2024, a cold, crisp winter evening. The kind of night where the air feels sharp and every sound carries a little too far. Dan, a seasoned adventurer known for his fearless explorations, had chosen a destination that would send shivers down most people's spines: the Forest of Sorrow. Locals whispered about this place, a place where the trees seemed to whisper back, where ghostly apparitions roamed, and where some who entered never returned. But Dan wasn't most people. "All right, guys, we're here," Dan said, his voice steady but tinged with excitement. "The Forest of Sorrow. Yeah, it's a sinister name, to say the least. But that's where we're at. Let's see what this place is all about." As night fell, Dan set up camp, the flickering fire casting long, dancing shadows on the trees around him. He decided to take a short walk to capture the eerie beauty of the forest on camera. The darkness deepened, and the forest seemed to close in around him. "Man, it's getting dark fast," Dan muttered, adjusting his camera settings. "I'm gonna have to bump up the ISO soon. And honestly, I'm getting hungry. Let's head back." But the forest had other plans. Back at camp, Dan roasted marshmallows, the crackling fire providing a false sense of security. Then out of nowhere, a blood-curdling scream shattered the silence. Dan froze, his heart pounding. "You've got to be kidding me," he whispered, his voice trembling. "Did you hear that? That was a scream. Someone's out here." Another scream echoed through the trees, closer this time. Dan's curiosity battled with his fear. He grabbed his spirit talker, hoping to make contact with whatever, or whoever, was out there. But the forest fell eerily silent, as if holding its breath. "All right, I'm putting out this fire," Dan said, his voice low. "I'm going to take a quick trip down the trail. Maybe I'll find something." As he ventured deeper into the woods, the snapping of branches echoed around him. Something big was moving, something powerful. What was that?" Dan whispered, his camera shaking slightly. "That sounded massive. This doesn't feel right. Maybe I should head back." Dan returned to his campsite only to find his tent wide open. His chair, which he had left by the fire, was now closer to the tent. Panic surged through him. "No, no, no," he muttered, his voice rising. "This chair was over there. My tent was closed. Someone was here. Someone was in my tent." The realization hit him like a punch to the gut. Whoever had been here wasn't just curious. They were looking for something, or someone. "Why would someone be out here?" Dan said, his voice shaking. "Why would they just take off? There was someone here with a light right by my camp, and they opened my tent." Despite the fear gnawing at him, Dan decided to stay the night, but peace was the last thing he would find. Just as Dan was about to drift off to sleep, the sound of footsteps jolted him awake. Crunching leaves, slow and deliberate, moved closer to his tent. His heart raced as the footsteps stopped right outside. "There's somebody outside," Dan whispered, his voice barely audible. "There's somebody right outside." A flashlight beam pierced through the darkness, illuminating the side of his tent. Dan held his breath, his mind racing. "Hello? Who's out here?" he called out, his voice trembling but firm. "Answer me! Who's out here?" The light disappeared, and the footsteps retreated into the forest. But Dan knew he wasn't safe. He packed up his gear and left, reporting the incident to the rangers. Dan emerged unharmed, but the experience left him shaken. Who was the intruder? What did they want? And what else lurks in the shadows of the Forest of Sorrow? These questions remain unanswered. But one thing is certain: the forest holds secrets that are better left undisturbed.